Hello and welcome to a look at Fist 2, titled The Legend Continues, for the Commodore 64, a game that was made by Beam Software. Fist 2 basically takes the general basics of the original The Way of the Exploding Fist and turns it into an action adventure. The plot is that the game takes place centuries after the Exploding Fist tournaments, and the Exploding Fist Master's temple has long since been decimated. The land is controlled by an evil warlord who's a general bad dude, and of course bad dudes draw the attention of other bad dudes and get them under their wing, so to speak. And of course everything is miserable, the coffee is weak, the sea is watery, all those bad things. The elders are concerned about the fact that they only see that there is one potential potential champion, hero, whatever, that could stop the warlord, which is someone who is directly descended from one of the Exploding Fist Masters. And of course our little disciple here that we are currently controlling pops up, and while he is skilled in the martial arts of the Way of the Exploding Fist, he has no combat experience. He has never been fighting or anything, so he starts out at a bit of a disadvantage, because of course his opponents that he will face are bad guys. Bad guys fight a lot, we all know that. Before the original Exploding Fist Masters were defeated, some of them were smart enough to put down the special knowledge of the Exploding Fist style onto certain schools, known as trigrams, and hid them throughout the land. In order, of course, for the warlord not to get access to them, because that would make the warlord even more powerful than he already is. Of course, we, as a descendant of one of the Exploding Fist Masters, will have to gather a set of trigrams, and not only that, we will also have to take them to the specific temples associated with those trigrams in order to activate their special ability. There are 6 trigrams, and each confer a special bonus that will enable you to bypass certain obstacles or similar things, and you will most likely bump into the obstacle before you realize what potential scroll you might need. As you move along exploring and trying to locate set scrolls and set temples, because both of them are well hidden in caves and all sorts of things, you basically have to explore every single screen to make sure that there is no exit you have missed. Oh dear. You will from time to time bump into some of the warlord's guardians that turns the game into a fighting arena, so to speak. It is an enclosed space where you have to defeat your opponent or get your backside handed to you. The fighting is very, very reminiscent of a Way of the Exploding Fist. It is basically exactly the same combat system, except of course for the fact that you have persistent health. Instead of scoring points, you have energy, and your opponent have energy, and if he depletes yours, you get knocked out, and if you deplete his, you are a hero and move on. Looking at the bottom of the screen, you can see the left scroll line is our energy, and the right hand one is your opponent's energy. Defeating opponents is not just a matter of progressing. The game will also keep track of how many opponents has been defeated between temple visits, and depending on the amount of foes defeated between temple visits, you will get an increase to your energy. Or chi, because it's chi. How I survived this one, I have no idea. But never mind, the game apparently insisted that I survived, so I'll take it. So basically, if you know where the temples are located and you know where the fights are located, you can fight a handful of opponents and go to the temple and get benefit from the experience gained. The fighting is very, very reminiscent of Way of the Exploding Fist with all that entails, which means, of course, that in the early stages and the weaker opponents, the best technique is to jump over them and then back kick them in the neck. Because of the fact that the game retains the fighting system from Way of the Exploding Fist, it also means that you and your opponent can hit each other at the same time. Which means, of course, that you can take hits that you do not expect to take, costing you valuable energy or even causing you to game over. You will naturally restore energy over time, and usually the spacing of the fights is wide enough that you can restore a good healthy chunk of your energy before the next fight occurs. But of course, if you run into a temple, it will restore your energy fully, or if you decide to stand still, restoring all of your energy, depending on how low it is, of course, can take upwards of a minute and a half. But let's talk technical aspect. From a graphical point of view, the fighters are very, very reminiscent of Way of the Exploding Fist, which makes perfect sense. The enemies, depending on, you can always tell how strong they are based on how armored they are, effectively. And of course, the better equipment they look to have, the stronger they usually are. The backgrounds are a bit coarse and sparse, you could argue, but it is very, very atmospheric, and I will give it that. It's very, very effective at portraying what it's trying to portray. Sound effects will depend entirely upon which ship you are employing. Either they will be very dramatic or they will be quite muted. And of course the music will stay about the same, and the music even changes from area to area to a great effect. It gives you some sense of calmness or urgency or whatever is relevant for that area. Just going to plunge into a poisonous zone, which of course, because I haven't got the appropriate trigram activated, will end up killing me. The gameplay though, and the reason why I put up the thumbnail text that I did, I will showcase now. I just picked up a scroll, and now I need to go back to the temple in which it belongs to in order to activate said scroll. This is running at double speed, and I allowed myself to mute it because it doesn't sound particularly interesting running at double speed. The game is just too damn big for its own good, which I probably sounds a bit stupid for an arcade or an action adventure even, because of course you want an area to explore. But there's too much of it. Without a significantly excellent memory or good mapping skills, you are bound to get completely and utterly lost in this game. Of course, if you play this game enough, then you will likely know where to go for each and every score, but it will take a certain amount of time. A slight spoiler, by the way, it took 3 minutes and 15 seconds from picking up the scroll to reaching the temple it's associated with. Which of course means you got 3 minutes and 15 seconds running back to where you started from, which is just effectively 6.5 minutes where you're doing nothing except for walking. Yeah. My overall conclusion of this game is that calling it bad would be unjust. It wouldn't be fair to call it a bad game because it's not a bad game, but it's just too damn big. There's definitely a part of me that, because of the atmosphere and all that stuff, wants to see how the game plays out. But there's an even larger part of me that have no interest in spending the time required to do so. On that note, Thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye for now.